Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.
And we are live, so welcome to a Coffee with Karen, a cup of positivity with just a sprinkling of woo-woo. Although if you've been listening more recently, it's not so much a sprinkling anymore. It's good wallop, good few tablespoons these days of woo-woo. So each week my guests tend to be in the holistic health arena, whether that's mentally, physically or spiritually. Or what tends to be happening these days is people are already incorporating all three. Okay, your host, my name's Karen Roberts. I suppose I call myself a holistic transformation coach. I'm here to really help other holistic health coaches actually, rather than give, because that's their natural tendency, I help them actually to receive. So help them to build a business online to six figures and beyond without being salesy, pushy, or just plain weird.
Weird's all right.
Weird's good. I mean, I'm hardly normal myself, am I? So anyway, I will allow you to introduce yourself to the listeners. If you could explain a little bit about who you are, what you do, and share a little bit of your story, Donna Michelle.
Okay, so yeah, Donna's good. I didn't even know my name was double barreled till I was about 15. So, but Donna's all right. Yeah, I've been teaching yoga and Pilates for a good few years. I mean, I'll try and give a bit of backstory. 20 odd years ago, I was not what I would call spiritual at all. I would have thought all this stuff, energy, crystals, stuff like that, was completely utter. Am I allowed to swear? Can I swear? Right? Yeah, I think it's completely utter bull. You know what I mean? But I mean, I've overcome depression, self-harm, eating disorder, all that kind of thing. And I actually became an exercise addict. I became addicted to exercise, which is not good. I got into yoga by accident, actually. This is before Amazon, before YouTube, before Facebook. And I just bought a video that was like £1. It was like yoga and Pilates. But well, if it's rubbish, doesn't matter. And I actually felt so good afterwards that was it. That started my journey with yoga. And then over the years, I've kind of like grown on my spiritual journey. My spiritual journey was a very slow burner. I think it started off an interest in like alternative remedies and things like that. And then you end up buying books like Louise Hay and things like that. So it's been a very slow journey. And so a lot of things that I think now and believe now, I would have thought was complete nonsense 20 odd years ago. But I still love the yoga, and I love the fact that it's mind, body, spirit. It's not just about pulling funky poses or stuff like that. I mean, it's helped me. It's helped me through some really bad times. I mean, I had a complete mental breakdown after Mum died, end of 2019. Like literally 2 weeks, I was crying non-stop. I literally got on my mat with tears running down my face. But I knew that, I had to do something to process the emotion. I mean, the last 2 years, so we're not long ago over that, we went into lockdown. I lost half my income. I lost my beautiful pony Amani after 22 years. That really knocked me on the floor. My marriage broke down. All these things I wouldn't have got through if it wasn't for my yoga practice and working on my mindset. I struggled with depression on and off since the age of 14, although more off than on over the past 5-6 years because of learning how the mind works and learning about epigenetics and energy. And I've done Reiki, I've done Shiatsu. I work with crystals now, and I'm kind of really good at helping people get in touch with their emotions, because we're emotional beings. And even now, it's getting better talking about depression and things like that. But even now, it's still like so taboo. And it's like, I think one of the reasons we're so stressed and depressed nowadays is we've bought into this bullshit story that this is how life is. Right? You go to school, you work hard, you get a job, you work hard, you get married, you work hard, you have a house, blah, blah, blah. That's it. You should be happy. And I think so many of us, there's a part of us that knows there's more to life. And we're like, well, well, what is it? What is it? So I love kind of like not just helping people in their body, but like understanding what's going on in their head, understanding the beliefs that are holding them back, and how we can be our own worst enemy at times, and getting to the what's going on inside, because what's going on inside affects what's going on outside, as you know. I mean, if we don't heal our emotions, if we don't process things, they turn into illness and disease.
Come out. It's going to come knocking.
Exactly.
Wow.
Well, I learned about the body-mind connection a few years ago. I used to get cystitis a lot, about once a month, to the point of needing antibiotics. And then I think I started reading Louise Hay, I think it was first. That's what got me thinking. And I realized whenever I got cystitis, it's because I was stressed. I was literally pissed off. And so then I started looking into that, into like the body-mind connection, how it's always talking to us and how it listens to us. I mean, I was working with someone recently who's got arthritis in her knees, and she kept talking about her bad knees. I'm like, they're not your bad knees. Stop saying they're your bad knees. And so I got her now, when she's putting body lotion on, she sends love to her knees and calls them good knees. And she's not had as much pain since. And it's like, trying to teach people that we're far more powerful than
way
we
more
realize.
powerful. And yeah, like you say, the way we talk to ourselves, it's one thing. We see so many people that the way they portray themselves maybe to others and the way they speak to others could be one way, but actually the way they're talking to themselves. And it's interesting you say that, because I think I only just did a Facebook Live about that this week, about water and emotions, and the fact that I can't think of his name, Emoto, was it, who did the
Dr. Emoto,
water crystals. And for people that aren't in this world of the woo-woo arena, it's a bit of science, it's a bit of visual proof that the things are related. That's the picture of the water crystals when you're talking, or the words they put it, and that, it's words, spelling, it's a spell. The way we talk to ourselves, so all the negative stuff, and you can physically see these water crystals all deformed. Whereas positive stuff, their water crystals are beautiful. They're just like snowflakes, aren't they? Just perfectly formed snowflakes. And if we are over 70% water, it makes sense that actually what we say to ourselves, our inner talk, is the most important thing for our overall health. So I love that you just said that, because it's and look, I'm not saying I've got it sussed, because I haven't. I can still, but being aware is step one, and at least you can stop yourself, can't you? When you're aware of doing it, and I can find myself doing it to myself, and it's like, ooh, hang on a minute.
I was doing that the other week. I was walking around thinking, oh, I'm pissed off about XYZ, and I felt a tingle down there, and I'm like, oh, right, I better stop saying that. And as soon as I stop saying it,
we're in a habit, and this is the thing. So it's not so easy to totally change that habit. It can be done, but and so we have got to be, and we are all human at the end of the day. But it's interesting that you said that. Again, we've got to sort of unlearn this stuff, because it is habitual. So it's funny, you're just saying that you just all of a sudden you're on autopilot, and you realise that you're saying something to yourself, and it's like, whoa, oh, what am I doing? And but that's on the way to recovery, isn't it? That this is how we learn. Nothing's going to happen overnight. And I think this is the thing. People think that just because they've read a book or they've heard this stuff, that now I know. That's it. We're going to be perfect human beings from now. It's not going to happen. We don't change from hearing it once. We need to hear it over and over and over and over again. So how long have you been actually doing? How long ago did you start teaching yoga?
I think I've been teaching for about 20 years now. That's about 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah, quite a while. Yeah. And then I started getting more into bringing mindset into it as well. At first, it was just a form of exercise, and then the deeper I got into it, I bring a lot of mindset, a lot of inquiry, just asking people to ask themselves questions. I mean, even simple things like we always check in at the beginning of class, and I get them to say, like, if they're stressed or fearful or whatever, I say a part of me feels stressed, not I am stressed, because otherwise you're making it your identity, and you're claiming it. Whereas when you say a part of me feels stressed, it's like just a small part, and they might often notice that their attention goes to their shoulders or whatever, and they've realized they've been hunching their shoulders, and it's like, yeah, but and I think we've become so disconnected from our bodies, haven't we? We've become, it's like we only notice it when it's ill or when something's broken. But up till then, it's like, we're just completely disconnected from our bodies. I mean, I even have people say to me that they say things to themselves that they would never say to anyone else. And it's like,
all the time, all guaranteed.
Yeah. I mean, I do this thing in the morning now. I look in the mirror. I've just stumbled out of bed, and I look in the mirror and I say, "Good morning, beautiful. I love you." It makes me smile.
Self-love.
Yeah, but I don't want to be in a toxic relationship.
No, but we've been conditioned, haven't we, to believe on some level that that's being in somehow
arrogant.
I don't know. That you don't love yourself. That's that's really bad. So I agree with you. We have got some kind of disconnect going on, which is, I suppose, why everybody, most things with mindset is going to be related to incorporating some form of gratitude. Because like you say, it's very easy for us all, myself included, to get complacent, and things are going well. Or, you think about all the thousands of things that have gone right today already, and yet one thing might not turn out how you're expecting, and that's the one thing we can be conditioned to focus on if we're not aware.
Exactly.
And that's one thing that you repeat to, you get on the phone and you go on about it to your mate, or when you see something, this happened, and it's funny, isn't it? When we are aware and we can step back and see what's actually going on there, it is quite fascinating how have we got to this stage where that is a habitual way of the majority of people to focus on one out of hundreds of things that have gone right, the one thing that didn't go right. Why do you think, how did we get here?
Well, I mean, you could get talking to the negativity bias about how we're designed to focus on danger. I mean, I used to be your typical glass half empty kind of person, and I've kind of like taught myself to be more positive. But yeah, I was saying that I think it's like anything. The more you get yourself to focus on the good things, the more you're able to notice them. And like you say, it does become habit. It becomes habit to to focus on one thing. And I did have a big breakthrough the other day in my meditation, actually, that it's actually become more socially acceptable for us to fail and to feel miserable. And what I mean by that is, if someone puts a post on Facebook to say, "I'm so happy right now," that gets far less interaction than if someone puts, "So unhappy right now." Someone puts, "I'm so unhappy." Everyone's like, "Oh, what's the matter, babe? Oh, I'm here for you, blah, 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 blah." So that triggers your brain that actually I get more love and support for failing or for being miserable. So then we're going to recreate situations.
And I'm so glad you brought that up, because I've noticed this, and it's almost like wearing like a badge of honor. I've got it. In a way, I can see sort of maybe how it's come about. Again, I think too positive. People say, "Oh, too much positive. That's not real," and blah blah blah. But and that's fake. Or again, energy. We know energy goes where attention goes where energy flows, or whatever the saying is. I would agree. It's almost like we've come too far the other way now. And it's actually, people, the more vulnerable you can be, almost like, yes, the more support you get. But is that helping? Or because I do think the way things have gone with children in the later years, as in, we don't have winners and everyone's a winner. And is that teaching them the right thing? Is that teaching them to be resilient? Yes, we're all amazing in our own right, but there's
not
nothing
the real world.
wrong with somebody coming. Shouldn't they be applauded as well? You might do better in reading or something else. And the way things have gone, yes, I think there is a trend going towards almost celebrating things going wrong. I can't see what good would apart from people, maybe the good part of that, maybe people not feeling that they're the only one. However, is that in itself going to be enough to help them come through that?
Probably not in the real world, is it? It's not
No.
in the real world, as it were. No.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if you taught children mindset and affirmations and things like that, and how to be. I mean, I got bullied at school, I got teased at school, but it was nowhere near as bad as I see happening now. I mean, I couldn't imagine having it on social media as well. And I just think we're not teaching our kids to be emotionally resilient, and in some ways we kind of almost teach them to be, I can't think of another word other than soft, this, or everyone's a winner. I kind of get it, but on the other hand,
it's gone too
it's
far.
not,
There's balance,
yeah,
isn't there? Somewhere in
gone
the
too far the other way.
Yeah. I agree. I think there's definitely a trend too much the negative side of things.
Because you might think, well, I might as well not bother. If I'm a winner anyway, why bother?
There you go. It doesn't work, does it? We've all got to
No.
have something to strive for. And there's nothing wrong. I think it's a good thing not winning. Do you know what I mean? We've all want something to strive for. If you are the best of everything, again, there's only one place you can go from the top, isn't there? That's down. So wouldn't it be better, like we're always taught, you surround yourself by people who are better than you so that you can grow. You don't necessarily want to be the number one because you want to grow and improve. So all this about not having any winners, well, I mean, I can see it to encourage the ones that never win anything, but is that the right way for everyone?
No, no. I wouldn't want to be a teacher nowadays. I mean, you've gone so PC and so this, that, and the other. And different children learn differently, don't they? I mean, some children thrive in a intelligent, writing and stuff like that, and other kids are far better at making things, and it's like they're trying to fit everyone into a box.
Yes.
And I would not want to be a teacher. I've got a few students who are teachers, and they've got so many guidelines, and it's all about testing this and testing that, and I think it's just too much pressure on kids, and they're not given the opportunity to grow in to use their own imagination. I mean, we're churning out drones, really, aren't we?
I think that's what they want. Yeah, I agree. I think I think the children are losing out. I agree that a lot of teachers that naturally go into teaching because, again, teachers like healers and all this, they're givers. They will tend to be more empathetic, right? So they naturally want to help, and yet they're being stopped by all, like you said earlier, about with the red tape and the rules and the this and writing up reports. So actually their energy is being taken away from their purpose, which is teaching.
Yeah, and sharing the passion.
Yeah. And yeah, you're right. I've got two very different children. One, yes, more academic. However, in a school environment, not great because don't put her on the spot. Give her time.
Yeah.
She's very intelligent and she's academic, whereas the other one's a bit more like me. And yeah, didn't really want to be at school. A bit like me, not the academic side, more on the creative side. And yeah, there's not, these schools do not cater for all different, and they're both as amazing as each other, in their different, they're beautifully different ways. And it is a shame that it's not catered for. It's phenomenal.
No.
But what would be better if the children weren't taught yoga at school? Don't you think that would be what a change?
Well, more schools are doing it now. I think there's somewhere like Sweden or something like that. They do a lot more meditation, and there was somewhere that instead of detention, they did meditation, because when kids play up, it's because there's something going on, And I think it's Sweden where they only do like half days. They don't wear uniform. They have no exams, and yet their levels, their results are like the highest.
Finland, is it
Because
Helsinki? Finland, yeah, it's
yeah,
one of those.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because my daughter wants to move there. That's
Oh
why I
well,
remember it.
don't blame her. I wouldn't mind moving there if it's like that. Exactly.
Yes, the yoga and med. So I suppose you got into meditation from obviously doing so you've been doing that for the last 20 years as well. And how have
Yeah.
you noticed the trend change more recently with meditation?
Well, a lot of people are becoming aware of it now. I mean, even still with yoga, there's this misconception that you have to be flexible and it's only for young people and all that kind of nonsense. I think it's kind of slowly changing. I mean, a lot of like celebrities got into yoga and made it kind of fashionable, but I think more people are realizing that they want more, that they want help for their mental health as well as their physical health, and they want to kind of connect with other people and connect with their own energy. And I mean, like, obviously this past 2 years has seen like a massive rise in people on their spiritual journey, for whatever you want to call it, having breakthroughs, having realization. And I think also the fact that we can connect with other people as well, so we know we're not on our own. We know we're not going totally bonkers if we start thinking all like woo-woo stuff. But yeah, I mean it. Some of the yoga has got a bit too trendy, and there has been a lot of things that have gone away from yoga. Because I mean, yoga means union, basically. Yoga means union, and the original yoga was meditation to reach a state of inner bliss, basically. But it has gone a bit too trendy and is focusing on like disco yoga and all that stuff. That's like it's just funny stuff. That's not really yoga. It's just taking out on the trend. But I suppose if people are moving their bodies and stretching, it's better than sitting on their ass all day.
Yeah, it's better than nothing. But I suppose what you're saying, what I'm hearing from you is the true meaning of the whole thing is getting watered down when they start doing these things, because it's like you say, it's not just about the movement. It's not just about the stretch. Yes, it's stretch, and it's phenomenal. What fascinates me with I never taught yoga. I used to teach. I taught body balance for years, so for them.
I taught that for a while as well.
A mixture, but it's what I find fascinating, and because I come from a sports therapy, sports injuries background, so I was a sports therapist for 27 years, is the fact that they had so much knowledge, that many thousands of years ago, far beyond our Western knowledge about the body and kinesiology and and how the body heals.
That's why it makes me laugh when they call it New Age. It's like New Age. It's been around for years.
How did they know this stuff? How did they know that particular stretch did this and the benefits? I mean, it's pretty phenomenal, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose that side of things is, I suppose when they go on the when they're trying to ride this trend thing, I suppose people think that people would get bored. And I have to say that when I started in fitness, I made this mistake. I started with step back in like early 90s, 1991.
I love step aerobics.
Right, I love step aerobics. But I think it started to die death because, and I was probably, one of the ones that caused that. Because if I'm doing the same thing every week, they must be being bored. So I need to change it. I need to constantly be, let's have a new move and make it. And in the end, it got so complex that actually, no, people liked the basic stepping, to have a workout, to feel good about being able to do it. And I probably have a tendency to do this, is overcomplicate things. And so then you can lose the essence, which I suppose maybe is what's happening in the yoga world, because, proper yoga, it's not changed, is it? So maybe they're coming along thinking people are going to be bored of doing sun salutation, so let's try and do something fancy. Do you find... Go on, sorry.
I can't. I was going to say, well, carry on.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, do you find that people, a lot of your clients, when they first come to yoga, do you find that they actually struggle with the meditation side of it? I mean, we used to notice a lot of people actually leave before the meditation because they had this thing in their head that it was the exercise, and that side of it was the unimportant thing because they can't actually quieten their mind.
I always remember one guy, he came for years and he used to hate relaxation. He was very much a go, go, go. And he was like, oh, God, gotta go into relaxation. And the day he was the first on the floor, I was like, yes. But I think so many of us don't actually know how to relax, especially nowadays. Like I say, we've got a computer in our pocket with notifications going off. We've got to a stage where we're like, we can't even be quiet anymore. And I this is why I'm always saying to people, like in class, don't compare yourself to anyone else. Everything's difficult until it isn't. Just focus on what you could do now. Because I know how their minds are working. I know they might be thinking, oh, I can't do this. I'm rubbish. I'm blah, 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 blah. And I think we give up too easily. It's like, if we can't do something the first time, it's like, oh, I'm rubbish. I'm, not going to do it anymore. But I think more people are coming to realize the benefits of it. Of taking some, quiet time. And it's not always about not thinking. I think we have this idea that meditation is like your mind's going to go blank, that's it. And if you can't go blank, you've failed. But actually, if you've ever tried to shut your mind up, because you're even thinking, I must not think, which is a thought. So it's like I say, no, meditation is like focusing your thoughts. I use the analogy of like a playground full of kids running around going, woo! That's your thoughts. I said it's like getting those kids into a nice orderly line, even if just for a few minutes. and that's it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's like you say, there's so many benefits to meditation. Not just relaxation, but calming your nervous system. I mean, people who meditate longer are happier, they're healthier, their blood pressure's lower. I think we've got adrenal burnout.
So much in it that I think we still don't even probably know. I mean, what I find interesting is for the last sort of few years, I studied a lot about fasting and autophagy and what happens in the body when we actually go without food, when we actually, give our digestive system a rest. And the way I see meditation is the same thing for the mind. Mm-hmm. It's interesting that we think that we are in control of things, that our thought, consciously, that we've got to control things and to-do lists, and we go, whereas actually it's the unconscious that knows better than us. Thank goodness. Thank you, my higher self, for being way cleverer than I am. And the same thing with food. Actually, when we stop, give it a rest, our body knows best, not us. What we think we're in control. No, our body knows best, and our mind knows best, or our unconscious knows best. So when we actually verbally and through eating, our bodies heal themselves physically and mentally. I just see the two things so intertwined, and I find that quite fascinating that we've just been conditioned to. We've got to constantly consume, whether that's mentally consume, watch this, read this, listen to this, all the physical senses. And actually, when we shut the physical senses down, that's when the magic happens. When we stop the consumption of constantly eating, that's when the magic happens. And it's free. So actually, overall health and well-being, mentally and physically, costs nothing because you don't need to consume anything. You have everything you need inside of you, and that is just like a mind. I find it absolutely crazy, and we're always trying to look for things to add to, whereas actually the opposite is true. Take away. And actually,
take away. It's like my teachings changed so much over the years. When I first qualified, I was like, right, this is the right way to do it. If you're not doing it that way, then you're doing it wrong. Whereas now I'm just like, how does it feel? How does it feel for you? What does your body need today? Not yesterday, not tomorrow. What does it need today? Don't worry what anyone else is doing. If that feels good for you, then that's great. But thinking of the meditation, I don't know if you've ever heard of the study. I can't remember who did the study, but basically there is a meditation group went into an area of high crime in America, and they meditated, I think, daily for about 6 weeks, and no one knew anything about it. But over that 6 weeks, the crime rate actually dropped in that town because the energy
I think
they were sending out.
I think I did hear something about that. It wasn't Joe. Did Joe Dispenza talk about that once? I think I might.
He might have talked about something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they did it a few different places.
Yes, do you know? I think it was him. I think I heard an interview, a YouTube interview, and him talking about that, and they had gone into different places, and because that's what they measure, don't they? They measure it, and that's and again, that's we don't understand our power, and we don't, because again we're conditioned to give our power away to somebody in a white coat for starters, or somebody in authority. They know best for you. No, actually, and I love what you just said there, which brings that back to that is no. You know what's best for you. You actually don't need anybody outside of yourself to tell you what to do but actually, so for you getting them to connect with themselves intuitively, what do you need today? If you're not feeling up to it, maybe don't overstretch or push yourself too far. Maybe just bring it down a bit and listen to your body. And that's everything that you're saying here. Everything what I'm taking from what you're saying is that go within and be intuitive. And that's what people need, somebody to guide them through, rather than, and it's, I find that quite fascinating what you said at the beginning, that when you learn, and I get it because I resonated with that, when you learn this new stuff, you get so into it, you think this is it and this is the way, and if anybody's doing anything different, no, that's wrong. We can get so hooked up in our own, well, I've learned this amazing thing and this has got to be the way, and it's funny, as you progress you realize that, man, there's many roads lead to Rome, right? There's all these different modalities, and like you say, if it feels good, then that's good for you. I mean, it's a simplistic way of doing it, but how amazing and how interesting that you've even you've come to that conclusion yourself with your own with teaching.
Well, I mean, if you even look at people, we've all got the requisite body parts, but you look at how people are made. You've got someone who's tall, they're going to have tight hamstrings, they're never going to be able to do something. I haven't got very open hips, for example, and for years it was like, oh, I can't do lotus, blah blah blah. And it was like, well, does it really matter? That's why I say to people, when I tell them there are things I can't do, they're like, really? I said, yeah, of course you don't know that because I can't teach them. Like, it's like, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's
I think it's about feeling good in your body. That's what I want people to feel, not just that they've had a good workout. I want them to go away feeling good in their body, because we're always so critical of ourselves. I don't like feeling underweight, but I try and focus on what my body can do. And like, we're always like either too short, too tall, too thin, too something. And it's like, just focus on what you can do. Focus on feeling good in your body, and then that helps grow confidence, because when you're focusing on what feeling good inside instead of looking in the mirror, that confidence comes out. And that's the other thing as well. I mean, my nickname is actually That Donna, because people used to say, oh, that Donna gets you doing things you never thought you could do, because I have a way that naturally emerged of like just guiding people gently, and all of a sudden they realize they're doing something and they're like, oh, I didn't think I could do that.
Donna, I love that. How cool
like
is that?
Class, oh, you're that Donna, are you? Well, yeah.
Wonderful. So you teach yoga. You say that it's not just about the mental health and physical health. So the spiritual side. What do you do to help people sort of improve on that side of things?
Well, I mean, I do a lot of kind of energy work now. And guided meditation as well. Guided meditation and visualization is really, really powerful. Right, I may get people to literally have a conversation with their body, literally go in, see what's going on. So if they've been holding any particular emotion, going, where is it in your body, and visualizing like a cord attached to whoever or whatever the situation is, that kind of thing, or doing light language and Reiki, which I can do through the camera as well, and getting them. I think a lot of it is giving people permission to believe what they think they believe. I've had so many people, when I've said something online, they're like, oh my God, I'm so glad you had the courage to say that, because, I didn't say that. And like, or now I've listened to you, I've got the courage to like say certain things because I'm not so worried about what other people may think of me. And that we spend so much time worrying what other people think. And I think when you work on your own confidence and build that inner confidence, and say if you want to work on the chakras, work on your confidence, you have that kind of strength to say, actually, I think this, or get to the stage where you think, actually, I don't actually know. I don't actually know. And that's okay. I don't know what life's all about. I don't know. I'm just figuring it out. But I'm okay saying that. I don't feel like I have to know it all. I can actually admit that it's all one mucked up, glorious journey, and I'm just trying to figure it out as well.
And we're all, well, that's actually just true, isn't it, of all of us? But yes, nobody wants to admit that, I suppose. Yes,
no. Once I realised there is no there to get to, because we always want to get there. It's like, well, where is there? And when you get there, you want to get somewhere else.
Yeah.
So like, there is no there to get to, because we're always moving. Yeah. We'll always have somewhere to go, but we've always been a long way as well. We're always focusing on where we want to go. We forget where we've come from, and we don't stop to enjoy the view of where we are now.
Yeah, enjoy the
now.
Let
go of the idea of there being a there. There is no there. Just be here.
There's only here and now. It's just get in, and you're so right. It is people miss out on so much because they're focusing on, when I do this, or when the kids are grown, then I'll be,
when I've lost 10 pounds, or when I've gained 10 pounds.
Well, when the children are grown up, then I will go and do this. Not I will be happy. That sounded awful. But we always that next thing, because that means I can do this, and then I'll be happy, and that means, and it's yes, it is. It's just accepting where we are, even where we are is not necessarily where we want to be, but being acceptant and happy and grateful, because do you know what? It's all good. We've all got something to be grateful for, no matter where we're at. No matter where we're at, and I think that's what so many people miss. Again, going back to worried about what other people think and trying to keep up with the Joneses. Well, just they're not you, and you're not them, and it's all good. And you can actually have anything you want if you got out of your own way.
Exactly. I think that's the downside of things like social media, isn't it? We always think someone else is better than us, more, got it all together. We haven't, everyone else is this, that, and the other. And actually, we're only seeing highlights of people's lives, but we forget that. We forget that. There's so much more room for comparison. I do it as well. I compare myself more now than I ever used to before social media. Then I have to like go, right, okay, no, cut it out. And I think that's another good thing about things like yoga and meditation. You're more able to notice when your thoughts are taking you down that dark place and go, actually, I'm going to change that. I'm not going to think that now. And it takes hard work.
You've got the tools at your disposal that don't basically. So what you're saying is, or what I'm hearing from you is, we all do it to a degree, but when we've got those tools in our toolbox, we don't stay there that long. We can come out of it easier. And that isn't that. And you did mention right at the beginning about depression. And isn't that exactly what depression is? Is they've got caught up in that negative story, and they've got on that roller coaster whereas with your tools, because you said you haven't been really having it, recently, is because you've got the tools to, if it starts going down that way, you can woo, press the pause. Whereas depression, the way I see it is, again, and you said something right at the beginning about people have got to stop the way they use words to own their whatever it is, disease, ailment, mental health issue, and even that whole thing of being depressed. No, depressed is a process that we all can fall into at times. It's just that a lot of people have it under control, as in you can start going down that road and then you can get distracted out of it. Whereas the ones that struggle, if they've gone so far down that rabbit hole that their perception is they can't get out of it.
It becomes a habit, and I know because I've done it myself. It becomes a habit. It's like those old pair of shoes that have got holes in, but they're comfortable, they're familiar. You put them on. I mean, I even notice myself now days where I feel like I want to slip down because I've done it so often. I know how to be depressed. It's familiar, but I'm able now to actually. It's almost like I'm watching myself. It's like, actually, no, you have a choice. You can pull yourself out now or you can sink down.
Yeah.
I mean, like last year, for example, 10 months of last year, I spent 2 weeks on top of the world. Everything's great. Woo! 2 weeks literally not wanting to be here. And I was marking it off on my calendar. I was trying to see if it was like to do with the moon cycles, see if it was hormonal, see if it was my food, whatever. And it was my thoughts. It was literally my thoughts. I'd feel tired one day, because obviously like the last couple of years have been tough on anyone anyway. But it was literally like my thoughts would start going down that spiral. If I didn't stop them, then I'd start feeling crap. The more crap I felt, the more crap my thoughts were. And I literally was dragging myself down. And so I got to the stage where I was able to, like, instead of being 2 weeks, it was like a week. And then it was like a couple of days. And now it's like I can pull myself out within an hour or so. But I can see myself slipping, and it is my own thoughts. Nothing but my own thoughts. And now I see it in other people sometimes, and it's like, I can see you're getting into the habit, and my sister is one of them, unfortunately. It's like I can see you're in the habit of being depressed because our body can become addicted to those hormones that are produced. And it's like it's like, no, you can't stop it.
Feeds each other. And it is, and you're right, because this is why I hate all these labels of people, and it is the labels that people put on themselves, like you said. Stop owning
my depression.
Yes, to stop. You're it's so, and that's where I suppose I have this. It's not really a contradiction. I'm all for the positive, however, I am also, well, if you are having these negative feelings, rather than force them to go away, sit with them, allow them, because they will pass.
Yeah.
So there's, some people might say I'm contradicting myself there, but what I mean is that it is okay to have off days.
Yeah, you're not trying to pretend. It's not about pretending, everything's fine. It's about saying, actually, I feel like shit. What do I need today? What do I need? What do I need? Sometimes when I ask myself that, I'll burst into tears. That's what I need. Sometimes I just need time with these lot.
and so, there you go. It's what is. So I think that's where this confusion might come from. The people like us that we do want to focus on the positive. It's not saying that we're stopping the negative. Yes, if I can have off days, and let it pass, or maybe not get up. Luckily working for stuff, I can choose my agenda. So if I'm not really feeling up for that run round the park, you know what? It's not going to do me any harm if I don't go. I'll go later on when I'm feeling better. But it is. You hear it so much these days, and I suppose going back to what you said right at the beginning about this sort of trend of people, it's almost like a badge of honor to be struggling mentally. It's almost we've gone too far. It's almost like everyone's trying to outdo each other in how bad. That is a shame. That is a shame, because yes, do you want to be in that habit, or do you want to come out of it? Because nothing means the knowledge that nothing we're looking for is down there.
No.
Nothing that we actually want to manifest is down there when we're wallowing in self-pity. And
That's what I say. Swimming around the pity pool.
yeah, but it's almost like some people want to stay down there. But and like you say, it's having that, well, okay, I'm just having a crap day. I'll be all right tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah.
Rather than I'm depressed. That's total ownership of it. And that's not helping. You've just told your whole body and your mind that you are depressed. And that's you. It's attached to you. Whereas, my thoughts is, well, the babies are born perfect unless, if there's been trauma in the womb or what's been going on inside. But other than that, a baby is born perfect. It's what happens, what they learn to deal with stuff along the way that affects them. So no baby was born depressed.
No, and if you watch children, they are really good at dealing with their emotions. They'll have a temper tantrum, stomp and scream, and then they'll get over it.
Yeah, that's me.
Simple.
I haven't grown up.
Yeah, I do. I've done it.
I can be ecstatically happy one minute. I mean, some people might call that bipolar, but I'm not. I can be easily distracted. I don't stay. If I do get up, if I do react to things, I don't stay very long. It could be like, and then,
yeah, done, dusted.
I'm like a baby. That's what I'm saying. I don't know whether that's quite right either, but
well, it's better than like just sinking down for months. I mean, I often, I used to be in some support groups or things like depression, and actually, it was just supporting people to stay depressed. Because if you tried to give them any advice, they didn't want to know. Really, they just
going to misery loves company, right? They're just going to be like kind of outdo each other. Who can be even more depressed? Again, it's attention. It can be, not for all. I'm pleased. I'm not belittling. Got to be careful.
No, I know. I mean, if you're doing it unconsciously, you don't realise you're doing it.
No, nobody does it deliberately. Nobody chooses to be depressed. So please don't mistake what I'm saying here.
No,
it's purely because being aware of how our minds work. Yes, I've got a distinct advantage and tools in my toolbox, and don't for one second think I've never been there.
I mean, I've been sectioned. I've tried to commit suicide more than once. So yeah, I certainly don't say anything meaning any lack of respect either. It is totally years of my own experience, and now what I can witness within myself and what I witness within other people.
Yes, it's and it is being aware, isn't it? It's nobody chooses that. But, and I suppose this is the whole point of this show, is that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and no matter what you're going through, it is the old quote for the best. This too shall pass. But I get it that when you're in it, because you've got on that roller coaster ride, and then it's so difficult to get off, rather than how you're dealing with it by dealing with it early on before it's picked up too much speed. So if you had any tools to give people that, are finding themselves getting caught up in this depression, which is temporary, doesn't have to be permanent, what would be your 3 top tips for them?
Oh, 3 top tips. Very definitely, as I say, try that just lying down or sitting down and just saying a part of me is depressed. I mean, one of the things I do with people, it's quite a long process, I haven't got time here, but just when you say a part of me feels depressed, your attention may be drawn to somewhere in your body, and just to like touch close, or say it's on your back of your body, on the front, because it's like those emotions are almost like small children that are needing our attention. And when we try and either ignore it or deny it or make ourselves feel wrong, why am I depressed? We're just adding more stress and more tension. And after a while, even just acknowledging that part can make it less intense, because your body's like, oh, thank God you're actually listening. You're finally listening to me. I mean, one thing I found really helpful is just going out for a walk, because I know if you're feeling depressed, you don't feel like doing a lot, but just getting out for a walk outside, because it also gets you outside of your head. Because if you just stay in one place, it's like literally you're in that place, you're in that energy, and it's so hard to break out. So, just getting outside, out in the fresh air, doing something each day, whether it's yoga on YouTube or whatever, or joining my classes, whatever, but, doing something to get out that energy of, being in that state. And like you say, knowing that it will pass, because it's so hard. It's like there's no light at the end of the tunnel because you can't even see the bloody tunnel. It's so dark. It really is hard. But I would definitely as well find people who have been there to talk to, and choose your kind of crowd wisely. I mean, things like I don't watch the news. I stopped watching the news years ago, reading the news, because it just makes you feel like crap. When I was younger and I used to go through depression, I used to play sad love songs and all that kind of thing. That really does not help. It does not help at all. And also to realize that there are people who care. And I think we get stuck in this place that, like, oh, people don't want to know my problems. They've got enough of their own problems. But actually, a lot of people actually feel kind of like honored if you share with them. And no matter what's going on in my life, if someone comes to me and shares, how they feel, I actually feel honored by that. Instead of, I don't feel burdened. No. So, to know that there will be someone out there who will listen, who does care, because we get it into our head that people don't care and people don't want to hear, and the world would be better off without me, and all that kind of bullshit. And it is bullshit. So to find someone, and sometimes it's easier to talk to someone you don't know that well, someone like me, for example, that you may not know personally, but there are people out there who will listen.
To a stranger, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I've been out and about before, and I've seen someone sat on a park bench or something looking upset, and I've gone up to them because I can't just walk past, and I've said, "Are you all right?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "No, really, are you all right? Because I can see you're not." And sometimes, that might make a difference to them, that they've actually been seen.
And that might be enough of a distraction to get them out of that, whatever is going on in their head.
Yeah,
to
no one cares.
A little bit, to raise them up a little bit. If more people sort of did that, if you can leave somebody feeling better than they did before, then it's a win-win. Everybody did that. So for the listeners, what do you have on offer? What is it that you do? If anybody wanted to get in touch with you, how would they get in touch? And what do you have to offer?
Well, I currently have an online platform that is yoga, Pilates, face yoga, breathwork, meditation. I also do kind of emotional alchemy, where if people have got trauma that they haven't dealt with, because although like talking therapy can be good, I almost liken it to it's pulling out the weeds, but it's not planting any seeds. And sometimes you've talked enough, and it's like trying to get it out of your body. So it's kind of like a kind of mixture of Reiki, meditation, and crystal healing, that kind of thing. It's kind of hard to describe. I do a bit of light language as well, but it's very like somatic healing, kind of getting them to explore their body and pulling it out energetically. I'm doing it now, like pulling it out energetically. So that's like a one-to-one thing that I do that helps people. I had really good feedback, actually. People who've like, stuff that I've held on to for years. Like one girl recently, she was raped a good few years ago, and I've been sexually assaulted as well, so I know how crappy it is. And she's able to let that go, because it gets stuck in our body. If we don't heal it, it gets stuck in our body, as we mentioned at the beginning. And then things like cancer, things like that, often caused by trapped emotions. And so it's finding a way to get it. And I think so many people are so fearful, or they just don't know how to. They just don't know how to get it out and how to move on.
Our natural response is to avoid pain. So I suppose so many people, whenever I speak to coaches like yourself, where you are doing this kind of, either it's shadow work or Reiki, whatever it is to actually heal people, the issue is always the case of there is, and I agree with you, a lot of the talking therapists, I think that can keep them down too much rather than actually dealing with it. But again, there is that knowledge that you need to be able to face it We're not saying stay down there and relive the trauma, but find a way to sit there to reduce the impact or the pain or the hold that it has on you, and do the actual healing work. So I can understand that people would naturally initially not want to go there, because we want to avoid pain. So we want to think that everything's fine. But I love the fact that so many of you guys are, it's not just the one thing now. So you're not just doing yoga. It's the yoga with, and then the combined with Reiki. And I love the fact that people are bringing a combination of modalities to actually help people more holistically in a safe setting. So for the listeners, if they're just listening on the radio, how would they get in touch with you? We'll have all your links if you're on YouTube or on the actual blog page. But
yeah, I do have a YouTube channel that's mostly yoga meditation. That's Yoga Vibe Solutions. Or they can find me on Facebook. Solutions, yeah. And find me on Facebook, Donna Michelle Hammersley. Find me that way, and yeah, get in touch with me that way.
Okay, fantastic. So, yeah, well, I love what you do. This whole sort of thing about it is, yoga. Maybe some people think it is purely physical. It is not, and I think more and more people are coming to the realization that there is definitely a connection to mind body. And I suppose then the final piece of the puzzle is the woo woo, but then you've got that covered too with Reiki. So how long have you been doing Reiki?
About 6-7 years. I actually got into shiatsu. I actually trained as an equine shiatsu practitioner several years ago. But we do humans as well, obviously, along the way. But
so shiatsu is more about meridian lines, though, isn't it? So
yeah,
then you go into the Reiki.
Yeah, I kind of do a mixture of everything, and quite often, because I work intuitively, it's hard to describe what I do because it would be different for each person. And sometimes I go totally into my own head, and then afterwards, like, what did you do? I'm like,
not sure.
I don't quite remember. I don't know, but do you feel better? Yeah, great. There we go then.
Oh, brilliant. So would you say then you're a bit of a channeler then as well?
I have just started channeling light language and that kind of thing, and I do card readings as well. A bit of it. That's what I said at the beginning. All of this stuff I would have thought was complete and utter nonsense 20 odd years ago. I would have thought, no, complete nonsense. No, not doing that.
And why do you think things have changed? Is that because you have sort of turned more inward and trusted your inner knowledge, your inner knowing?
Yeah, I think I was guided to like different books and different things. I mean, like picking up that yoga video was like one of those random, if I can say random now, obviously the universe gave me a shove, and just finding books to say before Amazon and YouTube and stuff, finding books and then meeting someone and then seeing something and then having experiences and being like, okay.
Well, there you go. They say it's only when you're ready will the teacher appear, right? So
exactly.
I've always found that quite fascinating. So well, wonderful.
It's like, the other week I was asking my guides for a sign. I was like, if I'm meant to do X, Y, Z, send me a sign. I'm like, make it a really big one so I can't miss it. And I was moaning about it, and I looked outside my house the other day, and there's like traffic lights, and there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 signs outside my house.
Wow.
Like, okay, I get it now.
So there you go. I would say the sort of the real big message that I've taken from speaking with you is well, there you go. Trust yourself. Go inside. Your inner, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. And there is no way. If people say, "Oh, should I do this to be spiritual? Should I do that to be spiritual?" It's like, well, we're already spiritual.
You are. That's what you are.
Already spiritual. And if you want to have dreadlocks, great. If you don't, great. If you want to burn incense, great. If you don't want to burn incense, great. There is no There is no right
No
way.
rules. There's no rules.
No rules.
Awesome. Well, thank you
Exactly.
so much for your time today. So to the listeners, if
you.
you like what you hear, please get in touch with Donna if there's anything that you're struggling with, especially down the sort of mental health arena. There is light at the end of the tunnel. So to the rest of the listeners, thank you so much for listening, and I will be here next week, this time next week, with a coffee with Karen.
Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical, and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.